Good morning, everyone. So we're doing a presentation today, or I'm doing a presentation for you guys on delivering exceptional customer service. Oh, I have the clicker. I'm like, next slide, please. Let me talk about myself first. My name is Ben Arona. I'm a San Luis Obispo local here. This is my second presentation with the why am I blanking on this? SBDC. Wow. Wow, I am failing today off the launch. My second presentation, the first one was on starting up a restaurant business. A little bit about me. I currently own a restaurant called Benny's Pizza Palace and Social Club in San Luis Obispo. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary in our current location up on Monterey Street, 1601 Monterey Street. And my roots with that business started at a commercial kitchen I opened 4 years ago on Foothill Boulevard in San Luis Obispo called Benny's Kitchen. Benny's Kitchen is still there. It is, I'm partnering with Jeff of Slow Money on almost like an incubator program. Anyway, I have over 20 plus years in the restaurant business in the front of the house and back of the house. So I've done almost every single job there is in the restaurant business, from washing dishes to cooking to bartending to managing restaurants. I'm also a lecturer at Cuesta College. I teach history, and I've been doing that for 8 years this spring. And currently I am pursuing a PhD at the University of Oxford in the UK in political economy. So today, what we're going to cover. We're gonna talk about pretty much the basics of customer service. This kind of information I want you to take, and I want you to apply hands-on with people in your restaurant, your employees, your coworkers, etc. I wish there was more. I wish I had a little acting crew here and we can go through scenarios, but we don't. So I will just give you the information and you can go from there. Okay, so the lecture is going to cover understanding customer expectations, building a positive first impression, effective communication skills, menu knowledge and recommendations, handling complaints and difficult situations, teamwork and collaboration, going the extra mile. Then we're going to wrap it all up with a conclusion and some questions and answers with anyone from the audience. All right. Understanding customer expectations. So when you go into a restaurant, everyone has expectations of what they want out of that experience, right? Instead of eating at home, you're actually going to go out, you're going to spend your hard-earned money. And what do you expect? Okay, when you go to a restaurant, you're going to want to see quality food, right? You're going to want to taste it. You're going to want to know that for the at least in my restaurant, almost everything in the restaurant is made from scratch, right? So you're going to want to see that quality food as a customer. You're going to want to go in and you're going to want to see a clean and pleasant ambiance, right? You're not going to want to see trash on the floor, napkins, dirty tables, right? All that kind of stuff. You're going to want to see prompt service, and that's going to ensure a pleasant dining experience, right? You're going to want to see friendly and knowledgeable staff. You're going to want your order to be taken accurately, and you're going to want to see that there's flexible menu options, right? So it's like everyone nowadays, gluten-free is a big issue, vegan, light cheese, et cetera, right? You're going to want to be able to make the customer happy and give them a good experience in your restaurant, right? And then you're going to want a customer leaving knowing that they have a good value for their money, right? They're going to want to come in to somewhere like Benny's and know that you can spend $35 on a pizza, right? But that pizza is going to give you food for that day for a few people and the next, and possibly even the next, right? So you're going to want to get that good value for your money. So all of those things are a vision that you want to keep in your mind when you're going to be running your restaurant, okay? And training your staff, that you want all of these things to be in a customer's mind and make them want to come to your place. So think about exercise for you guys at home. Think about a restaurant that has all of these things that you continue to go to, right? Let's see, is there somewhere that you would think of in the local area with these kind of points.
I'm sorry, because I know you have Benny's Pizza, but I'm a huge fan of Baron Duran.
Fair enough.
What's that, Marsh?
Marsh, yeah. So competition is good, right? It drives us to be better.
It was like the first example, and I thought it was like,
no, for me,
pizza guy.
So I'll take the power back on that one. I think of like Firestone Grill, right downtown. So I've been going there for, I mean, I grew up in SLO, so I'm going there for 20 plus years, right? So Firestone Grill, quality food, right? You're gonna know that. You're gonna, good value for the money. Friendly, knowledgeable staff that can work on that, but they're working on it, right? So you're gonna want all of these things, and your customers to remember that. Okay. You're gonna want an importance of meeting and exceeding customer expectations, right? So just like you said with your pizza place that you like, I like to go to Firestone Grill. You're gonna want customer satisfaction and loyalty, right? So all of those things that I just mentioned above, the quality food, et cetera, that's gonna get people coming back, right? People knowing, right? And then talking to their friends and getting people to come back, right? That's that positive word of mouth and enhanced brand reputation. With all those, you're also going to get increased customer retention and higher spending, right? That's a good thing. We need people to come back to our restaurants, right? And then also, people are going to want to work at that restaurant that has all of those above, right? An example that I'll give, a coffee shop that I go to, my friend James owns Kreuzberg downtown, and I love going to that coffee shop. And the employees there, like, people want to work at that coffee shop, right? Because it's a cool spot and it has all those things above, right? So keep all of this in mind when you're starting up a restaurant or you're training your staff, that these are very important, all these issues I just discussed that are going to get people coming back to your restaurant. Okay, building a positive first impression. Just like everything else in life, relationships, you want to build a positive first impression, right? So you have to greet your customers warmly. How many times have you guys walked into a restaurant and the front counter person is on their phone or talking to a friend or just not even present, right? If you walk into that restaurant, are you going to think that you're welcome in that restaurant? If someone's on their phone or someone is ignoring you, you're definitely not, right? Okay, so you're going to need to train your staff to create a positive first impression, set a welcoming tone, okay? This is going to build trust and rapport with people, right? So when someone comes in the door, hi, how are you? How's your day going? Welcome to Benny's, or welcome to Kreuzberg, or welcome to fill in the blank, right? You're gonna want to build the trust. People are gonna wanna come back to your restaurant. People want, just like in basic everyday relationships, they wanna feel welcome, they wanna feel safe, they wanna feel happy in your space, okay? This also, like I said, is gonna enhance your comfort, right? You make your customers feel relaxed and at ease, okay? So super important to always greet your customers, okay? And if you're super slammed, and I learned this bartending, you're super slammed, you're working on 3 drinks, you're cleaning glass, whatever you're doing, right? Someone walks up waiting for a drink, and I've seen this so many times. The wrong way to do it is just to ignore them and to continue working. The right way to do it, and people love this and they're willing to wait for you. Just pop your head up and say, hey, how are you? I'll be right with you. I got a few orders ahead of you. People love that. They love to be acknowledged, right? It makes them feel secure and comfortable, okay? Welcoming body language. Like I mentioned earlier, a few seconds ago, when someone walks into your restaurant or your bar, greet them, say hello, smile at them. Actually act, well, for me, because I own the place, and a lot of my employees who love working at my place actually will give you a genuine smile, like, wow, welcome to Benny's, right? So you're gonna want to welcome people in with a smile. Eye contact is huge. Like I mentioned earlier, you walk in and someone's on their phone, not even looking at you or caring, right? So make that eye contact with someone. Hi, how are you? Big smile, warm tone, very welcoming, okay? Importance of a clean and inviting restaurant environment. Like I mentioned in the slide before, this is a huge part of a first impression, right? One of my big things at my restaurant is turning over tables. So and we call them tops, right? So usually, if it's a busy Friday night, people are waiting for tables. We're first come, first serve, so we don't do reservations, right? When I walk into a restaurant and there's tables with just trash on them, like someone had enjoyed their meal, they got up, they left, and if I'm there working on a Friday night or Saturday night, I will actually go and help bust that table myself, clean it off. That not only can allow another customer to sit at that table, but it just looks good, right? You don't want to walk into a restaurant with trash all over the tables. Someone had clearly just left, or maybe, who knows, left an hour ago and the staff hasn't cleaned it, right? It doesn't look great. It can impact health and safety of the place, right? Food on the floor, stuff like that. It's not a good look. It's not a very welcoming look. So create that first impression, greet customers warmly, use great body language, and keep the place clean and looking good. Effective communication skills, right? So many people discount in the business world how much you actually have to do and multitask and the skills that you have to have as a restaurant worker, right? Everything that everyone's learning in the corporate world, you're going to be using in the restaurant world too, right? I think that people who work in the service industry can do any single job in the world. And I think I'm one of those shining examples of that. When you come in, and this all goes back to those first impressions, the front counter person's on his phone, you're putting in an order, they're just not making eye contact with you, they're not even caring, right? It's just not going to be a good experience for you, right? So you need to train your staff active listening skills. So what does that mean, right? Active listening, part of active listening is, let's say I give you the order, hey, I would like a large classic Benny and the Peps, right? Benny with a pizza with pepperoni, right? Now, as the front counter person, you're going to say, oh, great, awesome, a Benny and the Peps, gotcha. So repeat the order back to them, right? Let them know that you're paying attention. Now, what does this do? It ensures accuracy, right? So I'm the customer, I walk up to the front counter person, I say, I'd like a Benny and the Peps, right? And the front counter person maybe heard that wrong, maybe it's loud, and they actively listen and they repeat back. Oh, you want a Benny, Peps, and olives? And you say, no, Benny and the Peps. Okay, cool, cleared that all up, right? So active listening ensures accuracy. It demonstrates attentiveness of the staff. Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to want to have staff that at least the perception is that they care, right? That they're paying attention to their job, okay? Also, this is a huge thing, promotes upselling, okay? Now, what is upselling? Upselling is a practice of the staff, and this happens to us whether we know it or not, right? At Benny's, we upsell a lot of a product that we have called hot honey. And hot honey is an in-house honey that we simmer with habanero peppers. And so it's a really cool, like sweet and savory type, or sweet and spicy type topping you put on the pizza, right? I think a lot of other pizza places are starting to do this now. But it's a great upsell. So customer comes in, Benny and the Peps, front counter person is actively listening, so they're reading it back to them, right? They're being attentive, the order's accurate. And you say, hey, you know what goes really good with that Benny and the Peps to cut some of that savoriness is the hot honey, right? So you're engaging in this conversation back and forth, right? Awesome, cool. Active listening is also going to help you resolve issues. And we're going to discuss that a little bit later. Okay, we'll circle back to that. And it also enhances teamwork, right? So part of proper communication is that active listening. Okay, make sure you work with your staff on that. Tips for clear and concise communication with customers. Use positive language. Great order. Sometimes it can kind of be a little too much. I've gone to fancy restaurants where I'll order, I don't know, the steak, right? And it's kind of funny where the waiter will go, excellent choice, sir. Yes, I know, thank you. But that kind of stuff is kind of fun, right? So I have a front counter guy, his name's Mike, awesome dude. I've been friends with him for years. And he's so positive like that. So someone will come in and say, I want a Benny the Peps. You'll go, awesome. I love that pizza. That's my favorite pizza, right? So that positive reinforcement, that positive language is helping the customers feel better about their decisions, okay? And then ask for confirmation. This kind of goes just with that communication, right? I'll go back to Mike. I'll actually watch him work, and it's awesome to see him work because he uses the active listening. He'll read the orders back to people, right? He's upselling stuff. He's happy to be there. And then he confirms at the end, is this order correct, right? Now, that's not only going to help the customer out and to get so the customer gets their proper order and they eat happy and they leave happy. This is also huge for our food margins, right? So I can't tell you how many times active listening isn't happening in the front counter or with the server or when the order's being taken and the wrong order's taken. Now, a customer might be totally cool with it. Okay, yeah, no, cool. You put olives on the pizza, right? I didn't want olives, but I'll eat it anyway. Sometimes that happens, right? Or sometimes they'll send it back. And then what do we have to do as a restaurant owner? We have to, well, eat is what we call it, eating the pizza, right? We don't actually eat it. It means that we're losing money on that product, okay? So all of this is good for not only the customer coming back, but also for us not having to waste product, all right? Dealing with special requests and dietary restrictions. Like I mentioned in the opening segment, is that you want to be flexible with your menu, right? Not as flexible so that you're gonna end up losing money in the long run, and I'll explain that in just a second. But you want to be able to be flexible. You want to be able to do substitutions, right? And work with people so they come back. Obviously, there is a limit to everything, but gluten-free. That's an option that we started doing about 2 months ago, and we got requests like crazy for it, right? That's one of the big options because you actually have to add something to your menu, right? Luckily, there's enough demand for that we sell about 40 of those pizzas a week. That's a big deal, right? So gluten-free options. Now, what we don't have is a vegan option. And the reason why we don't have a vegan option is because there's not enough people getting a vegan option. We can't source the vegan option cheap enough. But what I highly recommend and what we do too is that when someone emails us or calls us or comes in and asks, do you have a vegan option? I'm gluten-free and vegan, right? This is something we're starting to see a lot and a lot more in the restaurant business. I'll say, well, we do have the gluten-free option, okay? But bring your own vegan cheese in and we'll gladly cook you a pizza. And people are so happy about that because in that world of vegan cheese, there are so many different options. And my experience from it is that everyone likes their own thing, right? So as a business owner, I don't want to stock up on the wrong vegan cheese, right? And no one's going to order it, and then it's going to go to waste. I would rather give the option to the customer to bring the cheese in. And 9 times out of 10, the customer is extremely happy about that. We get that happening all the time, okay? That's kind of an extreme option. On the more realistic option that you're going to get more often is people putting in light cheese or light sauce or sauce on the top of the toppings or sauce on the bottom of the toppings. That's a Detroit style pizza thing. So be very open to offering options to your customers so they know that they can come in and get things their way, right? And then of course, listen carefully, communicate clearly, and follow up. So effective communication skills, so massive, right? As part of this, making people happy in your establishment. Active listening, clear and concise communication, and dealing with special requests. Question?
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about communication as it relates to the more negative experiences, like longer wait times? Hey, we don't have a vegan option. We messed up your order,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
So we're going to circle back around to that. We have a handling sensitive or weird situations that we'll discuss the communication with, okay? Perfect. Yeah, so we have a slide for that.
Cool.
All right. Menu knowledge and recommendations. This goes along with that, discussing, communicating with the customer, right? And knowing what's going on. You want a staff that's knowledgeable about your menu. This is huge, right? So a lot of the corporate restaurants, Applebee's, etc., will actually have you take tests on the menu. Okay. I've also worked at a few places in New York City and this is more of a really a common thing actually wherever you go. If a bar or restaurant has a craft cocktail menu, it is and at Benny's we do this also. We have a set craft cocktail menu, right? And we want all of those cocktails to be made exactly the same by each staff. So we actually do, when we have our staff meetings for the bar, we actually test them on the bar menu. Not only are they knowledgeable about the bar menu, but they know how to make everything. Now that's specific to the bar, right? But let's say the front counter that just deals with food. You want them to know about the menu. And so when we get new hires in, we let them take a menu home and study it, right? And then we kind of informally quiz them on it. We've only ran into, in the 2 years at the Monterey Street location, Benny's, we've only ran into 1 or 2 staff that just don't even care and don't even bother learning the menu. But how about you come in to Benny's and Mike's not working, it's some new person, right? And they don't know anything about the menu. How is that going to make you feel as a customer? Is it going to make you want to come back? Or is it going to be like, oh my gosh, these people don't know what the heck they're doing, right? That's a big deal, right? So this goes in with that whole upselling. It goes in with active listening. It mends with everything. You want your staff to know the menu, to be confident, and to be able to give recommendations, et cetera, right? Wow, that's just everything I just covered. How to make menu recommendations based on customer preferences, right? So knowing the menu, knowing that we do have salami, knowing that we do have sausage, knowing that that sausage is mixed in-house with a special blend of spices and herbs, right? All of those things is extremely important for that staff to know, because then when they tell the customer, right, and they give customer other options, right, it'll be easier for them to upsell, easier for them to change their order up, easier for them to add more stuff, right? I'll give an example. I come up to the register, I go, hey guys, it's my first time here. They go, okay, great, welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, Ben. Right? I go, well, I'm gluten-free, but I love to eat meat. So what options do you have? And let's say the front counter person will at least knows we have gluten-free dough, but they don't know that we have both sizes, the classic and the baby, right? So I say, well, what size can I get that in? Let me check, right? Okay, I'm already kind of, as a customer, confused, right? Well, okay, cool, but I'll let this one slide, right? They ask, they figure it out, right? Then I go, okay, I like meat. Tell me what kind of meat you have. And then they have to, oh, well, it's on the menu. Go check the menu out, right? Those kind of things, it doesn't show confidence in your knowledge, doesn't show confidence in the business, right? That front counter person is the business at that moment, right? So want people to know the menu, so you're confident, so you can make recommendations, right? Understand the menu and suggest similar items. That suggesting similar items is in essence upselling, right? And making that order bigger, okay? You know, hey, you're getting, like I said, that hot honey, you can suggest a hot honey. Oh, hey, you have a lot of, would you like a dessert? We do a great tiramisu, or we do cinnamon sticks, right? Or, hey, we have the best chicken wings in town. Maybe add that to the order, right? Highlight specialties. Every month we do a special pizza. I know at Benny's, right? So have the staff know what the specialties are, what's on the pizza. This month, so we do a pizza of the month, and the kitchen manager comes up with really cool ideas. For November, he did a turkey dinner themed pizza. So he did something called the leftover, right? So it's pesto, mozzarella, pesto sauce, mozzarella, mashed potatoes, right? Made in-house. Then he puts turkey on there, and people love the pizza, right? It's super important to upsell that pizza so people know about it and they come in for it, right? This pizza specifically really took off, and people loved it and would come back for it, okay? Like I've been mentioning the whole time, upsell, offer customized pizzas, right? Customized salads. For myself, I'm lactose intolerant. I know that's funny. I own a pizza place. But when I order a salad, I I add crispy chicken, right? So we have like chicken nuggets there. I add that to the salad, and then I take off the mozzarella cheese, right? So all that stuff, be very flexible, okay? And then this goes into what I just mentioned, handle allergies and dietary restrictions responsibly. This goes even further than me as a customer saying, hey, is there cheese on that salad? That goes back to the importance of knowing the menu, right? All of our salads come with mozzarella cheese on it. The staff will say, yes, all the salads come with mozzarella cheese. I go, well, I'm lactose intolerant. Please take the cheese off. Awesome. Saves the day for my stomach, right? Now, there are some dietary restrictions that are even more important to pay attention to. Some people come in and they say, my wife has celiacs. Is your gluten-free made in an environment where there's no other flour around, right? I have to tell them, I have to be, and this is where you're extremely important. It's extremely important to be honest to your customer, because it's not worth someone getting hurt or sick or you getting sued over, right? So when someone comes to me and says, oh, my wife is celiac, where do you make your gluten-free doughs? And I'm honest with them. I said, there is flour in that environment. So if she's gonna get sick, I would not bring her in, right? So it's super important. That goes with people with peanut allergies, people with any of those things. So it's important so that your staff knows the process so they can make recommendations that aren't gonna get people sick. Okay, so menu knowledge and recommendation. Staff should know the menu back and forth. Based on that, they can make recommendations. They're confident. You can customize, and you don't want to get people sick because they have dietary restrictions, and you want to be able to cater to them when you can. Okay. Handling complaints and difficult situations. Here goes back to that question, right? Now, it seems like there's going to be a complaint all the time from everybody, right? So it's important to train your staff best as possible how to handle complaints in difficult situations. Now, for the most part, small little complaints can be handled pretty easily at the base level, right? Always make sure to convey and communicate with your staff that if they don't feel comfortable handling a situation, and there is a manager, which either at Benny's, there's always the kitchen manager is always there, or the front of the house manager is there, or I'm there. Always kick it up the flagpole, okay? And what does that mean? That means that if there's someone above you that can handle the situation and you're not comfortable handling it or don't know what to do with the situation, talk to someone above you, right? Cover your butt, right? And so I tell my staff that all the time, okay? This a lot of times happens when the wrong pizza comes out or there's long wait times. Sometimes in a super busy restaurant, the wrong pizza will get delivered to the wrong table. And so people are sitting there waiting for 45 minutes and their pizza never came because it went to another table, right? That's probably the biggest complaint that I get. Happens maybe once every 2 weeks at Benny's, right? And that's something that we're working on, right? But keep your staff, make sure to train your staff the importance of staying calm and composed, right? You don't want your staff freaking out or getting upset or angry at themselves or at the customers, right? That's just not a good look, right? So steps to handle customer complaints effectively. Be empathetic, right? Or all of us have eaten in restaurants, maybe be sympathetic, right? But use empathy and sympathy as far as in, oh, shoot, that's happened to me. I understand that this is a super busy restaurant, you know, da-da-da-da-da. But empathize with the customer. Like, oh, man, that would suck if I had to wait for 45 minutes. My pizza didn't come up, right? So feel what they're feeling, channel their energy, right? Apologize and actually mean it, right? Oh, my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me make that up to you. Whenever I get these complaints, like that 45-minute one, I had one last week, and there's a couple guys that come in all the time, and their pizza got delivered to the wrong table, and of course that wrong table took it because it was a free pizza, right? And I went over there and I sat down with them and I apologized and I talked to them and I resolved it. they said, hey, Ben, we come here all the time. This isn't a big deal. We're catching up, we're drinking beer, we're BSing, we're having fun. We just wanted to double check where our pizza was because eventually we want to eat it, right? I sat down, I talked to him for 10 minutes. I tried to comp them something, they wouldn't let me. I followed up after dinner, right? And they loved it. They said, this is great, we loved your pizza. And I actually followed up with a tiramisu, a dessert for them. They didn't ask for it, they loved it. It made them extremely happy. Hugs, handshakes when they're out the door, and they've already come back. So mistakes are going to happen. Make sure your staff can handle it appropriately. But super, super, super important. If you're a business owner and you want to make those decisions on comping, you can give that to the staff, right? Just be careful with that because they're giving away your product, right? Your money, et cetera, et cetera. So if you don't want to put that power in the hands of your employees, make sure that there is protocol that it gets to you immediately, so then you can handle it. Okay. Yes.
There's a restaurant industry adage that I'm sure you've heard it a million times. Customer's always right.
Yeah.
How do you relate to that? All the places I've worked, this actually management has flipped it on its head and sided more with us, and kind of there's an employee morale issue, I think, with customers always right, but it's also a really good point to it. So
Yeah.
level with it. What do you think, and where do you find your balance?
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? You can like if you've been in the restaurant world, you know that that customer is only always right thing gets abused by the customer constantly, right? Any little thing they're gonna, a lot of customers, not a lot, but some will want the world, right? When they ordered a small little thing, they want everything done for them perfectly, and if you mess up, you need to bow down and get on your knees. That's a difficult situation, right? Because as a manager or an owner, you want to make sure that that customer is happy, right? And that they come back. Strategies that I've found for it, I've worked for good people and I've worked for bad people in the past. The bad managers, right, and owners will throw it onto the employee, right? Like, oh man, my employees aren't trained properly, or whatever it is. Like I've seen managers throw employees under the bus. Completely the wrong way to do it, right? As an owner, I will come up and it's a we situation. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we did that. Let me make that up for you, right? I then take the responsibility on it. Of course, it'll be a discussion I'm going to have with the employee. A lot of times, everything goes fine, right? The customer's not mad at the employee. Sometimes you're going to get customers that are so angry at the employee and they take it personal, and then that employee is like a vendetta against that employee. Another suggestion I have for that is just to separate the two. And as a manager, you're going to take over in that situation, right? The manager or owner is going to take ownership of the situation, because at the bottom, at the end of the day, the buck does stop at the manager or the owner. So you do have to take that ownership, right? Apologize, make it better for them. If that customer has a problem with the employee, separate the employee. And I've seen that so many times, especially in the bar world where alcohol is involved. But yeah, separate. Then talk to the employee. Like I go back as a manager and owner all the time, and I say, after the situation's handled, right? Well, what happened? Tell me your side. Okay. And it's pretty easy to see a theme that continues on with employees. Like people are people, we make mistakes, right? But you'll see employees that have bad attitudes or that don't care, or et cetera, et cetera. That's when you start seeing an issue. And as a manager, you note it, you counsel them, you try to make it better. And if it doesn't, then it long-term doesn't, right? Does that help answer a little bit? Okay.
Is the customer always right?
No. The customer's not always right, because I've been doing this for 25 years. I've seen, I should have written a book, multiple books on this, because I've seen customers come in with no shoes on and, complain that, the cheese is burnt, and then demand their money back and totally do it the wrong way. And it's just like, okay, here's your money back, please leave. Yeah. Right. So, I don't recommend making a huge scene about it, but I think sometimes, or I've seen customers come in and berate employees, like yell at them and scream at them. Are they right then? Definitely not. So there are situations where you do ask people to leave, right? And they say, oh, we're never coming back. Well, I don't think they're going to come back anyway. So the customer's not always right, but there is a solution to every problem with a customer. All right. So role-playing scenarios for handling difficult situations. I think I just gave you a few. If there's any more out there, we can circle back. Any more questions about this, we can circle back at the end. So handling complaints in difficult situations, stay calm, composed. Steps for to handle customer complaints effectively: empathize, sympathize, apologize, resolve promptly, and follow up. Okay. Teamwork and collaboration. This actually goes back to that issue we talked about, right? Just like maybe like a sports team, right? You see when everyone's gelling together, they're playing great. There's not just like one superstar and everyone else is supporting that superstar. It's really cool when the staff want to be there, and they like each other and they work together, right? That's when you know you've created a positive work environment that people want to come to work. I think we've all gone to restaurants where, and from working in the restaurant industry, it's really fun to go to a restaurant and see the back of the house. If it's an open kitchen, you can see them joking with each other, playing with each other. My kitchen right now at Benny's has a crew that I'll go back there and they will be joking and messing around like in a good way, and they're having a great time. That's what you want to see with your employees at work, right? So as a manager or an owner, you don't want to create an environment that people don't want to come to. Because how many hours are people going to come to your work and work for you? I have employees that sometimes they're there for 30 hours a week. You want them to enjoy their time at work, right? So teamwork is so important with staff. They have to gel. They have to be fun. Have fun together, right? Communication amongst kitchen, wait staff, and management. Now, this is big, okay? For any of you who've worked in restaurants before, you know that there's kind of like a beef, between the front of the house and back of the house, right? And traditionally that comes because usually the front of a house will make a little bit more money in tips, right? Back of the house is supposed to get paid more to compensate for that. But there's always you get the cooks in the back pissed off because they see the waiters counting their tips, right? So there's always that, but you need to make sure that they communicate together and to squash any sort of beef that they have between each other, whether it's the front of the house, back of the house, bussers, bartenders, servers, any of that stuff. And training and protocols is perfect to keep everything flowing good, right? Now, what do I mean by training and protocols? Training, obviously, we want everyone to be on the same page on how to do things, right? The front of the house knows when they take an order to tell people when pizzas are going to be 30 minutes, right? And then when it's slammed, pizzas are going to be 45 minutes, right? So there's protocol and training on how they do things to keep everything running smoothly, okay? Technology, messaging apps. We have what's it called? Schedulefly, which is a great app that we actually schedule our employees on. Along with that, though, employees can communicate with each other. They can give up shifts. They can pick up shifts. Then management can effectively give new protocols, right? Like I just asked Stephanie, my manager, to I was doing the money drop yesterday, and I was counting $50 bills. And one of them was so beat up and old, and it was real. But I asked Stephanie, like, do we have a protocol on employees taking big bills? Because that's a big deal, right? Like the counterfeit market, it pops up every 6 months or so and slow. Someone will come through with either real bills that are bleached and then printed on, or just overall fake bills, right? So I said, do we have a protocol for taking big bills? And she said, well, no. So I actually had her build a protocol and put it on our Schedulefly app. And what's super cool about that is that it goes to everybody. Then as an owner and manager, you know when people actually look at it, right? Because their little icon pops up that they've read it, okay? So that ensures, especially nowadays, right, where we have meetings maybe once a quarter at the most. This is like protocols are coming out constantly, right? We're also using that for the messaging app for specials that we're doing, the pizza of the month, right? It's just kind of like a newsletter that we're updating people on, right? And that's going to keep everyone knowing and everyone kind of working together and being on the same page, okay? Team meetings. So like I said, we have team meetings once a quarter usually. And what we do is we'll buy lunch, so it makes people want to come. We pay them to be there. And we do activities together for team building and stuff like that. We don't get really, at least at Benny's, we don't get really into the corporate, like building people pyramids and trust scenarios where you fall backwards on the people, stuff like that. But we do a lot of open communication, like passing the conch, right? Like let's talk about some issues that we're having amongst each other, amongst the staff, then ways to resolve it. And in the past, it's always worked great, right? And it doesn't degrade into some yelling at each other. It's actually a very productive scenario, okay? And then that goes along with the open door policy. At Benny's, there's 3 owners, right? I'm the founder, and I brought on 2 partners to help with financing the building we bought in the liquor license. But with the open door policy that we have, if someone's not comfortable coming to, let's say, the kitchen manager, the kitchen staff isn't comfortable coming to the kitchen manager, they can go above him and come straight to me. If they don't feel comfortable coming to me, they can come to one of the other owners, right? So we have a very, very, very large open door policy on anything there. If you're not comfortable, if there's something going on, we need to know about it, okay? And that just keeps everyone on the same page, everyone happy with each other. Encouraging a positive work environment. You promote teamwork. You know, I think before I owned Benny's and I worked for other people, it was always awesome to see management and ownership actually there working, cleaning tables, talking to people and helping out. That promotes teamwork from the very top, right? I've worked for people where the owner would come in and sit at the bar and drink all day and buy people drinks, and it was not fun. That wasn't teamwork, right? I'm very active when I'm there. I'm talking to people. I'm cleaning tables. I washed dishes last week, right? So that kind of stuff is promoting teamwork. So if you're an owner or a manager, keep that in mind. Also, just as toxic as an owner sitting there drinking all shift, right, and buying people drinks and telling staff what to do, is also maybe an employee that doesn't care, or a negative employee, or employee who's always on their phone. And then the other employees are there cleaning tables and taking orders, right? As a manager, you want to identify that and talk to the employee or employees that are doing that, right? Because you want everyone to be doing work, helping each other out, okay? Recognition and rewards. This is kind of cool. At Benny's, we do like sales, like weekly sales. We haven't done this in a month or 2, but we need to get back to it. For the bar, we offer like gift cards. We offer gift cards to other restaurants, gift cards to Benny's. If they sell a certain amount each month, we'll give them, or, you know, if there's a competition on who sells the most that month, then they'll get a reward. People love to do that. I don't know. Being a bartender for 15 years, like, it's some weird thing that clicks in your mind where you want to sell as much as possible, right? It makes you look good. It makes you feel good. It fills your bar up. And if you offer something on top of that, it's even better. The lead by example, I just explained that very thoroughly. I think it's very important to be a positive role model for your employees. If you want your employees to sit around and do nothing, then maybe you're going to lead by that, you're going to lead by example and do the same thing. If you don't want your employees drinking at work, I don't drink at work, et cetera, right? Also, make sure to have a work-life balance for your employees. A lot of employees will want to work all the time. Okay, a lot of employees will have too much of a life balance and not enough of a work balance. So you're going to have a weird mix of people. But you also don't want to get that employee that is always willing to work to always work, right? Only because they're there wanting to work constantly, right, doesn't mean you should pick them if someone calls in sick, right? Be very aware of how much someone's working and what might be happening in their personal life. I wouldn't recommend getting into their personal life unless they talk to you about it, but be very aware of that work-life balance and try to not just work someone, I guess, to death, right? So teamwork and collaboration, communication amongst everyone. Make sure to have good training and protocols. Use technology. Like I said, I use a great app. Open door policy. Encouraging positive work environment, promote teamwork, lead by example. That's gonna be the hugest thing in all of this is lead by example, right? And work-life balance. Okay, moving on. Going the extra mile. This is gonna go, yes, question.
What's your opinion, real quick, on family dinner, employee meals, employee discounts? It's your own food, your own money, but you know.
Yeah, so I've worked at different places, and there's a lot of leakage in the restaurant business. And by what I mean leakage is, employees will drink a beer, or employees will, drink a Red Bull, or whatever they'll do that's not like authorized, right? And that's obviously an issue, right? At Benny's, we give a 35% discount for employees, right? And they can come in with a friend and they can use it together. Now, if they come in with a huge family, right? Or it's a constant thing where they're bringing in like 10 people and using their 35% discount, then we have a discussion, right? But we want to give a big enough discount so it feels like they're being given something back for their work at the restaurant, right? So we give them 35% off. The managers get 50% off. And then for the kitchen, they are allowed to make a family meal, right? And that's I'm very loose on it. And so that's kind of going to be your decision as the owner, is like what do you want to give them? Right now, family meal is, in case those of you at home don't know what that means, family meals traditionally where instead of employee meals being given for free, which some restaurants do, like individual a la carte meals for free to an employee on their shift. What a restaurant will do is they will have the kitchen staff cook up a big, thing of pasta or whatever it is, right? And then that's for everyone on the shift to come back and eat, right? Family meal. So it's free food, but it's not customized. I'm a huge supporter of that. Like at Benny's, I say, you guys can cook a family meal per shift. You guys can decide what it is, right? But I obviously been told to the kitchen manager, I don't want you using, a bunch of expensive meats and stuff like that when you're doing your family meal, because it's just pricey, right? But I'm huge on family meals because it keeps people happy to eat during their shift. And also on the other side of it, it's going to stop theft. It's going to stop employees from feeling obligated that, oh, I worked today and didn't get fed, so I'm just going to take this food home, right? I've seen that in the restaurant business before. So the family meal really helps, why am I blanking right now? Keeps everybody happy, right, on that shift. Does that help?
Yes.
A little bit? Okay. Go the extra mile. The importance of personalized service. Now, going the extra mile, this all goes in with, this is an addition to greeting people, to smiling, to eye contact, to active listening. Remember people's names. Remember where people come from. Like the small little things. If you're a bartender, remember what someone's drink is. That's going to make people come back. Personalized service at Benny's. We have this woman who works there. Her name's Deanne, and people absolutely love her. And if you've been to Benny's before and you've experienced Deanne, you'll know what I'm talking about. She's in her 60s. She's retired, but she works 3 nights a week at Benny's. She absolutely loves it, right? Her and Mike are like the dream team. Not saying my other employees aren't great, but her and Mike are they are everything on here, right? And Deanne will go around and remember people's names, and she'll go and she'll sit with them and talk, right? Almost to a point where I sometimes have to remind her that food needs to be delivered to other tables, but that's a good thing, right? So that personalized service of having someone know your name, come up and talk to you, give you a hug, that's the extra mile that's gonna bring people back all the time. Surprise and delight, offering comp items or discounts. This happens usually on big orders. Like if there's a huge table that comes, I'll get a couple tiramisus and I'll split it up and I'll give it to the whole table. This is gonna get people to feel even more comfortable and to trust you and to wanna come back, okay? Encouraging customer loyalty through exceptional service. This is just overall everything, right? Remembering names, everything I just mentioned, right? That's going the extra mile, okay? The fact of the matter is that most employees aren't gonna go the extra mile. But the ones that do, make sure that you keep them there, keep them happy, and it just everything flows a little bit better. Okay. So the conclusion, key points we cover in the presentation. Understand your customers, greet them when they come in, make a positive first impression, effective communication skills, use that active listening, menu knowledge. Make sure your staff knows what you offer so you can do substitutions, you know about food allergies, handling difficult situations. Train your staff to be as calm and collective as possible, not to be argumentative. If there's a situation that they don't feel comfortable with, make sure that they know that they can kick it up the flagpole to you or another manager. Teamwork and collaboration, it's so important to have everybody happy at work, to be working together, to be communicating properly, but then of course going that extra mile, remembering people's names, their drinks, et cetera, et cetera. Is there any questions out there for anything we covered so far? No? That was quick. That's it. That's all I have. If no one has any questions.
Out of everything you've gone over, what's the thing that, like, if your employees were to be watching it and they needed to know one thing from this entire, and that was the one thing that they took away, what is that one thing for you?
I think effective communication skills. So if you have an employee that is struggling with the menu, right? Or struggling with maybe another employee working with them, or not really sure, this is their first restaurant job, they're not really sure how to greet people, right? It's important that you let your employee know, if you have any issues, I really want you and need you to communicate those with me, right? So foster and create and foster the environment where people can talk to each other and feel comfortable talking to each other, right? Because if they're not communicating the issues that they have with themselves or other employees or a policy, right? You're not going to know how to help them resolve those issues. So I think proper effective communication is the biggest thing that I'm going to want my employees to work on. Yeah, the biggest takeaway. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, online people and in-person person.